StockPulse News Desk. We're talking white gold today. White gold trades is WGO, Toronto Venture Exchange, WHGOF. The U.S. markets, I've got David D'Onofrio, the Chief Executive Officer. We're going to do a little corporate update here. So, David, good to see you here. It's been a little bit here. Coming off really a fantastic year as far as work goes. Very little market recognition. Unfortunately, nothing you can do about that. But you keep working, and that's what you've been doing. So let's catch investors up here on the spectacular 21 you had, and you got some interesting neighbors up there too that I want to get into. But talk to us about 21.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks. I think it's a perfect time for a bit of an update and maybe a little bit of a preview of what we got lined up for 2022 also, which I think is going to be extremely exciting. But yeah, just as a recap, let's talk about 2021. This time last year when we chatted, we wanted to accomplish three things with our season. Number one, we have our flagship deposits. We're bumping up on 1.8 million ounces. This is like 2.25 gram type material, open pit. These are phenomenal resources, ounces in the ground, good recovery, all of that. So that's big, right? And assets like that are less and less common in the market, right? I think the argument for geopolitical stability has only gotten stronger and stronger. So part of our goal was to show the continued ability to grow these deposits. And what our approach was, as opposed to slowly delineating the core deposit itself, which continues to be open in all directions and will grow, we wanted to look for different or new zones of mineralization close by, right? And we figured as a junior, we're gonna get our best bang for our buck by making these new discoveries and showing, you have these different pods, that can be accretive of 200, 500,000 ounces at a time with very little drilling. So the last few years we've been doing that. A couple of years ago, we tagged into the Ryan Surprise, like 1.5 miles, 2 kilometers west of the Golden Saddle. We continue to do some work on that this year. That was a big part of our program, extremely successful. Get into that. And then what's really more exciting and what we really think we validated this year is that new zone of mineralization sits on an anomalous gold arsenic trend that's 6.5 kilometers top to bottom and a 1.5 kilometers wide. And this trend has seen hardly any testing at all. And the first little bit of testing that we're doing, we're having incredible results. On the Ryan Surprise I mentioned, so that was the first part of our diamond drilling program last year. And what we did there is we continue to extend the gold mineralization in all directions. So now we've outlined it to 400 meters by 400 meters by 450 meters at depth. It continues to be open in directions. And we're very confident that this is going to add a significant amount of gold ounces, good grades for our flagship deposit, right? So we're here at 1.8 million ounces across all categories. The prospectivity to go to 2, 2.5, 3 is just getting better and better. So that is a phenomenal success. I think internally, as we move forward, maybe put out a resource update on that this year, just to show how much we've done with such little drilling. I think that could really be interesting to define to the market, what we've done there. So couldn't be happier with what we've got. Right? The grades are kick-ass. I think it could fit in an open pit. I think there could be an underground component because the grades are so high. It's really exciting, and that's just going to obviously bigger is better, but just going to continue to increase the economics of the project. On that point, that's something else I think could be very interesting. Today we haven't done or published a pre-feasibility study. We have our own internal analysis done, not 43-101 compliant, so not at a point yet where we can announce what the economics are to the market. But our views from the work that we've done is this has the potential to be quite economic, and that's like gold prices far lower than they are today. It's great to see gold at $2,000, so I think it can go to $3,000 absolutely, but that's not the kind of thing we're banking on. It's not the kind of projects these are, right? This is not a let's wait for the market to put it in. These are what I think will be very robustly economic projects at much lower gold prices, right? And that's based on the tenure of the deposit, the size, the quality of the people involved, where it is, et cetera, et cetera. So my view, what we've done, this company's got all this gold in the ground. That's, from a value perspective, what the value is of that, right? Companies trade, deposits trade all day long. Any analyst in the street will give you value. Unfortunately, with white gold, that's not reflected in our share price, or maybe that's all that's reflected in our share price, right? We're trading, at the lowest end of the spectrum compared to our peers, just on that alone, right? So not even giving any value to this upside potential. which is crazy. As you know, like the analysts, I think the average consensus target is like 270. We're at 70 cents or whatever it is. So, you know, so we're going to get out there, continue to, you know, we've done the work in the field, been successful there. So that's what we control. Now we just got to get out there and make sure people understand the story, what's going on. I think the macro events that are happening in the district, which you touched on earlier, will help bring more and more attention to the district. So that'll be good. And, you know, things are all coming, you know, vectoring in on, you know, like what's going to really sort of, I think, bring a lot of attention and hopefully reflect in, you know, material increase in our stock price, you know, over this next coming year.
Yeah, and I think before we get into to what 22 is looking like, let's talk about a couple of big events that happened up there. You've got some neighbors there. It's starting to become is it elephant country up there now? Are we sitting on some pretty massive things here?
That's what, well, listen, that's what Shawn Ryan always says, right? Like, this is elephant country. When is a camp a camp? How much gold do you need to have discovered? So let's look at this district, right? You know, we're talking Dawson down to Coffee. It's, you know, 100 kilometers plus or minus. We've had 20 million ounces of placer gold, you know, pulled out of the creek beds from surface. Okay. You have the casino to the south of us. It's like a 20 million ounce copper gold porphyry. You have Coffee, which, you know, Gold Corp had it, that was a 4 million ounce deposit. You know, Newmont's actively advancing that. And what was just announced last week is that they were greenlit by the federal, territorial, and First Nation parties to advance that project. Like, that is absolutely huge news, right? You have the largest gold mining company in the world in our backyard that's going to go build a mine, right? So that's going to, you know, is that what it needs to be to define a camp? That's a camp, right? We have our couple million ounces almost of gold. My view, that's a camp. But listen, you shovel in the ground, you see gold coming out of the ground. Once that happens, that re-rates everything. That's what you see, right? You got Timmins, Quebec, you have Tibi, Nevada. Once you have one facility, and we'll probably have two, because the golden side with a different type of ore will be mined with a traditional mill versus heap leach like the Coffee. Now it's game on anywhere you go. And part of the Newmont's project is a road system. So there's roads there, they're placer roads, to upgrade the roads from Dawson down to their Coffee project, a couple hundred kilometers. That's primarily being funded by the government. So just, you know, bear that in mind. You're talking, you know, in this day and age, geopolitical risk, obviously it's every single headline. You're now in a country that's not, you know, taking assets. You're in a country that's going to put $100 million into your backyard to build a mine. So, and that roadway goes from Dawson right through the majority of our land package. So now, anything we look for, right? We haven't touched on this yet. We have our huge regional underexplored package, which we're continuing to move along every year and being very successful at it. Anything we find here, it doesn't have to be 1 million or 2 million ounces on its own. You find 300,000 ounces, you put that on a truck, you bring it to one of these 2 mills. That's ore. That's how camps work, right? So we're at the very early stage of a camp, but, you know, in my view, that's where you want to be investing. And not only, and White Gold, what's White Gold? We own that camp. There's 4 companies up there. We own 40% of the claims in the entire district. And that's after Shawn Ryan having analyzed probably 80% of them for the last 20 years. So we really have cherry picked the best of the best. That's not already owned by now Newmont or Western Copper. There's a couple other guys up there like Klondike Gold. They're doing some good work. Savers up there, they have the Brewery Creek mine. That's, you know, that's really interesting. But, you know, I think for a real prolific camp coming together, the pieces are all starting to come together. So that's, you know, from an investment perspective, for these things to become real, you couldn't ask for a better backdrop than what's happening with that.
Yeah, and we've got quite the entry place here for an investor to get involved here. You seem pretty undervalued here, everything you've just told me. So let's get into 22 here. I caught a lightning bolt here getting out of the gate at Ulli's Ridge. Talk about the work that's going to be done here and get investors all fired up here, David.
Well, listen, we had 2 huge grassroots discoveries last year. Ulli's Ridge was one, and that one there is just south of the Ryan Surprise, contiguous to that, has never seen diamond drilling, right? So here we are, 2021, Canada, we have these areas that have never seen a diamond. That, you know, with all this prolific history, it's unbelievable to think that's the opportunity, but that's what White Gold is, right? I got to like pinch myself every morning that we're the guys who are able to put diamond drills for the first time ever in history into these properties that we own 100%. And lo and behold, what do? We rip 19 meters of 7 grams from basically from surface as a follow-up to our, you know, grab scout program earlier in the year. Right? That's our process. It validated it. This thing now, we've demonstrated the existence of high-grade gold on this 6.5 kilometer untested trend, a stone's throw away from our flagship deposit. So like Shawn says, This has now opened up an incredible amount of blue sky for that project. So everything, you know, couldn't be going better. Gold Saddle's there, it's phenomenal. It's got the ability to be bigger. The Ryan Surprise is coming together. We have the Ulli's Ridge just south of it. And right between it, there's a number of anomalies that have not been tested. So the geos are thinking there's a real possibility that these things connect. So I think they look robust on their own. You connect these things at 700 meters of deposits connecting, like how many ounces is that going to be? That's going to be big. Without even talking about the rest of this this trend, where Shawn's like, I found similar rock to that right at the top of the teacher showing like 15 years ago. We've never put a drill in it. What happens if this all connects to a 5-kilometer deposit? Like this is exactly what you want to be seeing. This is, you know, I at the beginning of the year I wasn't thinking that way. Now, you know, we've done the work. The structural guys have done the analysis, and they're saying, listen, like this is a real possibility. Let's go put some more drill holes in this and prove it out. So that's huge. That is phenomenally huge. We're going to be doing a lot of work there to continue to show that, you know, how big this Golden Saddle, Arc, Ryan Surprise, Ulli's Ridge project can get. I think we can build a lot of value through that this year, which we'll be able to, you know, continue to demonstrate to the market. That's exciting. As exciting, maybe more exciting, is our Betty property. So this is the one at the south end of our portfolio. It's contiguous. The Newmont's Coffee project. It's right along the same track. It's also contiguous to this big Western Copper project, which last year Rio Tinto came and put 25 million bucks. So now you have two of the largest mining companies in the world. You want to talk about elephant country? This is elephant country. We went last year with, again, a first ever diamond drill program, and we hit one of the best holes in the history of the Yukon ever, as good as the Golden Saddle, as good as the Coffee, 50 meters of 3.5 grams, very near surface. Statistically, you have those types of holes at that tenure with grade evenly spread out throughout the hole, as the case here. That is the best possible scenario to be able to delineate a deposit around, right? There's a lot of studies out there. You look at the gram meters. If the gold grade is kind of more concentrated in different areas, your odds come down. But with this type of exact same scenario, it's an extremely high likelihood that, you know, we're going to see a lot more ore around that. And that's this year. We're going to be following that up with a lot of additional drilling. I think that's really excited. I know that got Agnice Eagle, you know, super excited when we put out that news. You know, that's when they kind of knock me on our door and say, you know, we want to buy more of you guys. How much can we put in to get up to 19.9% ownership? So they're extremely excited about that, as am I. What else I'm extremely excited on that same property, a few kilometers to the east, we have a number of other targets. One of them is called the Mascot. A little bit of work was done there by the prior operator that Shawn was partnered with. They've had some phenomenal results. It's the biggest anomaly on the property. Never seen a diamond drill. So we're going to be diamond drilling that for the first time ever. You know, I think the prospects of another sort of banger hole out of that are looking extremely good. So we have a lot of catalysts coming up with a lot of work. Fortunately, now we're fully financed with Agnico putting in the money and a couple of our other key supporters. And you know, I couldn't have asked for a better situation with the gold price going up and everything else to head into 2022.
Yeah, I was you just unpacked a lot there. I was going to ask you the health of the company. You just hit that. I guess, Treasure, you're in good shape here to pull out the mission here. So I guess let's consolidate a message here for investors here, David. A share price has certainly created a good entry point. Obviously, it is what it is for you. You just continue to work. But you mentioned you've got gold and silver in a good spot here. A lot of geopolitical risk around here. I would have to say that we're probably in the teeth of this bull market. So everything should be going your way here. For people who want to get involved here, talk to them a little bit.
Yeah, I think, you know, I've been in this business for a long time, you know, with the Power One Capital Group. We financed and backed a number of exploration companies like this one for many years. Been very fortunate to be involved with a number of very high profile success stories. And what we've learned over the years is what it takes to get to that type of success. And White Gold really incorporates all that. You got this great land package. It's underexplored. You've had success. You have a pathway to more success. You understand, and the more work we do, the more success we have, the more it really opens our eyes on the prospectivity of everything else as we continue to work up this package. We have a true district scale opportunity. This is 1 million acres. It's the very early stages of what I think will be a true gold camp, right? This is like going back in time and being able to buy 40% of the Timmins camp or Nevada or wherever else. We have phenomenal partners, right? You know, everyone should do their own due diligence, but knowing that Kinross and Agnico are major partners, along with Eric Sprott and the Power One Group, some of the brightest minds in the business, I think that should carry a lot of weight for people, the investors. There is a real deposit here. Most junior companies, their dream is to make a discovery, to delineate a deposit. That takes 10 years, $10 million or $100 million probably. We've already done that. We have that in our back pocket. Plus, we have the ability to do that over and over and over again with these new, exciting grassroots opportunities, and we're showing that we're able to do it. So, from a risk-reward perspective, I don't think there's many companies out there that I know that offer a better opportunity in that regard.
Okay, a lot to pay attention to. Appreciate that update. Dave D'Onofrio is the Chief Executive Officer, White Gold, WGO on the venture, WHGOF, OTCQX. If you want to hunt some hidden treasure with Dave and the team there's their call sign. So David, appreciate the time, and we'll certainly look forward to checking back in as you have some progress to report to the market.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Stay tuned. I think this is going to be a really exciting year for us.